I think you're the first person I met whose name is actually Chanukah.
I called the mayor's office and I asked the mayor to intervene, and the mayor tried.
What motivates you?
At that point, there was no time to get another bulb. A reporter was coming in like less than 2 minutes. Literally within 5 minutes, every major TV station in LA is calling me to come down for a scoop, like a personal scoop they want. I'm like, my head is starting to spin. Okay, so Fox News called me up, Channel 11, Channel 9, Channel 7. Okay, you come at 9, you come at 9:30. They all wanted, like their own scoop. At some point, honestly, I couldn't remember who I told when they should come. So within an hour, the Chabad House parking lot was like a media frenzy. They come with their vans and their big, 30-foot antennas, because they're broadcasting live.
Shalom Aleichem und Brich Maboom zu der erste brand new Hot of the Press episode in der neue, jetzt bekannte Farbrengen Podcast. Ich heiße Levi Ginsberg und ich bin excited zu sein, der Host von der Handtige Farbrengen. Baruch Hashem sind Yad Kislev. Mit darauf gleich der erste Intro kommt an non-stop Feedback. Menschen besmedrisch, Menschen in der Gas. Datos als der Oilem ist excited für Geschmacke Farbrengens. And to be honest, bin ich nicht surprised, weil ich bin auch excited zu herangehen in dem Full Force bei Hashem. Ich will auch bedanken jeder, was hat genommen die Zeit zu schicken einen Text, eine Message, ein WhatsApp. Jeder, was hat mich begrüßt in Besmedrisch oder auf der Gas. Und geteilt sehr scheine Grüßen wegen dem neuen Projekt. Es gibt eine Sache Chizik. Und wir können auch in der Eure, als einer, was hat sei welche Feedback, Thomas' Kritik, oder sei welche Comments, Suggestions, soll bitte nicht hesitaten zu schicken einen Text, eine Message, ein WhatsApp zu 347-524-2278. And I look forward to hearing from you, Be'ezer Hashem. Auch kann man subscriben zu unserem WhatsApp-Status. Sie können mithalten alle wichtigen Updates, wie auch behind the scenes, exclusive access zu reiche Geschmacke, ernste, teuchnige Content, Be'ezer Hashem. Noch einmal zu derselben Nummer, schickt ein WhatsApp mit dem Wort subscribe zu 347-524-2278. Wir gehen euch subscriben zu dem weltberühmten Farbrengen Podcast, WhatsApp-Status, Be'ezer Hashem. Wo's gehen ins Team in Hand bei dem Farbrengen-Episode? Es gehen Farbrengen, versteht sich. In der gedumme Video, was ein bisschen stark in Spaß geworden, habe ich gesagt, als wir gleich Farbrengen mit ihnen, was haben wir gespielt. Sei welche Clarity in sein eigenes Leben, es ist ein Greit, das zu teilen mit euren. Und das ist pinklich gesagt, was uns gleich mit ihnen hat. Für mich persönlich, und für mich gibt es eine mordige Chizik, sie können schmissen mit den Schlichen. Und das ist pinklich, was uns mit ihnen hat. Wir gehen Farbrengen mit der Shliach. Der Rabbi Hanoka habe ich getroffen mit der Shliach zu Pasadena, Kalifornien, Rabbi Chaim Hanoka Schlitte. Ich habe ihn gerufen, sie können schmissen mit der Zoom und mit der Videoconference. Sagte mich, als ping du in Corona für 2 Tage, für eine Chassana. Und dieses kleine bisschen Zeit, das gehabt für seine eigene Killy Vacation, hat weggegeben für unsere Chusche Orient. Sie können mithalten mit dem Farbrengen. Ich habe gesehen, wo sein Name ist actually Chanukah. Hat sehr spezielle Chavives zu die Ante von Chanukah. Erst ist es lieb, sein persönliche Chanukah Miracle, was mitgehalten mit 11 Jahren zurück. Eine unbelievable Story, was geht teilen will, Be'ezer Hashem. Aber Vater muss es bringen auf Rabbi Chaim. Will ich machen eine spezielle Lechaim für unsere Sponsors. Die Episode ist gesponsert mit Schiss, Schneier Salmen, mit Sterne Sura, mit der Kusche Verrebetzen, Gebäude mit Niche Ruchel, Bas Blime, Laie Chane. Sollen sie alle gebencht werden. Chomile de Meita, Begashmi zu Verachnis, Gesinnt, Parnusse und Machas Barchove. In die Male Hashem ist Berich Komisch alles Lwuvam, Betäuwe will Vruche, Betäuwe an ihr Wenigle, und versteht sich keiner Mukim zu den Mannen, als Tomer wollt ihr sponsern, als Farbrengen Episode, schickt eine E-Mail zu farbrengenpodcast@gmail.com. Und das Kiss von der Farbrengen soll rüberbringen alle meine Spurs und alle meine Brüches. Chaim. Schkoich, and let's get started.
Chaim.
I think you're the first person I met whose name is actually Chanukah. That's your last name, right?
It's my last name, bonafide.
How do you pronounce it in English and Kurdish?
Chanukah,
Like
the holiday.
Harav Chanukah.
Okay, the Rav part sounds good, but otherwise Chaim Hanoka, yes.
Where did the name come from?
I come from a mixed marriage. My father's side was Sephardic, my mother's side Ashkenazic. Yeah, exactly. So my father's side came from Greece, originally from Salonika. My grandfather was born in Salonika, Greece. So they were Sephardim originally from Spain, got kicked out, 500 years ago, and at some point made their ways into Greece. And as far back as anybody can trace it, the last name has been Chanukah. They came to America, to Ellis Island. They anglicized it to Hanoka because I guess the guy couldn't write Chanukah or whatever it was.
So what do you do? Like, what's your regular occupation? Like, what do you do?
I'm
9 to 5 or from morning to night?
It's like 9 to 9 and all the way around the clock.
What do you do 24/7?
24/7. I run the Chabad house in Pasadena, California.
Pasadena.
Yes, which is about 30, 40 minutes from LA, if that gives you some geographic perspective.
What does it actually mean to run the Chabad house? Like, what does it entail?
So I started the Chabad outside of my house. I didn't know anybody. Honestly, when I moved to Pasadena, I didn't know a soul. I didn't even know how to get there. I actually bought a map. This is pre-GPS.
You bought a map?
I bought a map because I honestly had never been to Pasadena. I had seen signs because I lived in LA. I see signs for Pasadena. I just never had actually been there, driven there. So I bought a map to figure out how to get to Pasadena. I drove down there after it was decided that we were going to move there. And I basically, if you want to know the whole dog and pony show, how we started, I can give it to you.
The kids
are, bottom line is I drove down there. They used to have phone books back in the day. I don't know if you
Phone books.
Okay. A phone book, So I went to the phone company to get a yellow pages of hotel and basically started calling hotels in the area to find a room to start for a Yom Kippur. And
A hotel?
I didn't live there yet. I was living in LA. So I wanted to start something for a Yom Kippur. The kitzur, rented a hotel room at the Hilton. They worked with us. They asked me how many people are coming. I had no clue because I didn't know anybody. I literally did not know a soul in Pasadena.
So how are you expecting people to come?
So I ended up buying a quote-unquote Jewish mailing list of some company in Milwaukee, I think it was, that wasn't as Jewish as they made it sound like. And I put an ad in some throwaway paper in the neighborhood. And honestly, over a Yom Kippur, we had like 100 different people showed up. Each one saying, I had no idea.
100 people?
100 different people, not all at one time. Yom Kippur, we maxed out probably at about 75, Rosh Hashanah 50, but...
This is your first Yom Kippur?
It's where I walked in, Shalom Aleichem. But I had no idea.
That's a nice Shalom Aleichem.
It was. I had no clue how many people would show up because, as I said, I knew nobody, literally. I mean, not a soul before we moved there. And each person's sentiment when they walked in was, I can't believe there's so many Jews living in Pasadena. Pasadena has always been known as a very goyish city. Echte goyish city, okay?
But it's no longer a goyish city. It's not Chabad.
Now we have Chabad Pass. Well, it's been there for a while. But yes, there's a cloister like on every corner. It's a religious city, but not necessarily known for its Jewish religion, I guess, per se.
What made you decide that you want to go on Shlichus B'chlal?
I always had an atiyah to go on Shlichus. My father actually was a physicist. He was not a rabbi. My father was about Tshuva through Chabad.
Your father's about Tshuva?
My father came about Tshuva through Chabad.
And you're a Shliach?
In 1961 too. He was from the first, I guess you call them the poster children of Chabad. He was on campus. He was a student at the time. And the Rebbe gave him a tremendous amount of personal attention.
But how did you get to know the Rebbe in the beginning, in the first place?
He was,
the
Kitzur, he was in Penn State doing his graduate work. Okay, and the Rebbe sent up a group of Bachrim. If I'm correct, I think it was the first time the Rebbe sent up a group of Bachrim, for like a Shabbaton on campus, who was through a connection with the Hillel rabbi at the time on campus, who had a shaykhus to Rabbi Klein, Rabbi Yom Klein. They met earlier. And my father was, I guess, someone intrigued by this whole thing. It was all foreign to him, but he was searching like any good Jewish college student was. His, I guess, conservative background, when he grew up, he had a bar mitzvah in a conservative temple or shul. As my father would put it, despite the fact that he had the bar mitzvah, he became frum. Those were his own words, quote, verbatim, okay? So, yeah, he had read extensively. He was an academic, thoroughly versed in Spinoza and always hold the quote-unquote the masters, Martin Buber, Spinoza, and a bunch of other isms that he read through.
Okay. I'm not really familiar with those other things, but it's fine.
Whatever, better that you're not. Be it as it may, he was very intrigued with it. Stuff, he ended up coming to Crown Heights. It was a Yechidus Klali, a general Yechidus with a bunch of students from...
So from those Bachrim, he got in touch with them, they told me he brought him to Crown Heights?
He stayed in touch with the Hillel rabbis. I'm not sure who arranged the Yechidus. I don't know if it was the Hillel rabbi or through the Bachrim. One of them was Rabbi Moshe. At the time, they were Bachrim. Actually, he might have been married. It's Rabbi Shem Tov.
Today, Rabbi Shem Tov is the head shayach of Philadelphia. And involved in many other Chabad.
Correct. He sits at the helm of many others. So my father ultimately took a gap year. Making a long story short, learned in 770 for a year. Much to the chagrin of my grandparents, who thought he lost his mind completely because he's going for his doctor. He's going to be Dr. Hanoka for a Sephardic mother. This was like, as far as she was concerned, he invented the combustion engine. You know what I mean? She couldn't believe that her son's getting a PhD. My grandparents.
And now he's a Bacher in 770.
Now he's a Bacher in 770. It was definitely a difficult year. The Rebbe gave him a tremendous amount of encouragement. It's a little beyond the pale of this. And subsequently, he ultimately spent a year. The Rebbe insisted he goes back to finish his degree. My father actually wanted to become a Hillel rabbi at the time, and the Rebbe went like this to him in the Yechidus and told him with 3 letters next to his name, PhD. He'll do more for Yiddishkeit than become a Hillel rabbi. And
he'll do more for Yiddishkeit with a PhD
than becoming a Hillel rabbi.
Becoming an official Hillel.
So my father could not understand it because he wanted to stay in yeshiva. He wanted to get smicha at some point. And the Rebbe was emphatic that he goes back, which was contrary to typically the Rebbe's approach to college. But in this case, he insisted my father goes back to the extent he offered to loan him money if he needed for student loans. He didn't need it in the end. He had a fellowship, but the Rebbe offered to want to make sure it was going to work.
Wow.
So he went back. I was actually born in State College, Pennsylvania, before he got his PhD. My parents got married. My mother was born in Poland before the war, came after the Holocaust. She ended up in Siberia, took the tour, basically, Siberia, Samarkand, DP camps, etc. But they met in New York, and then I was born in State College. When he got his PhD.
So you were born in college, on Shlichus already?
My father wasn't a former Shliach. He was kind of a grad student in Penn State.
Right. So that was what made you decide that you wanted to learn Shlichus as well?
No, what? So
that was as well, but that's.
I grew up in a household where Shlichus was very important to my father.
Why?
My parents. I guess because he felt a tremendous connection, if you will, to what the Rebbe stood for and what the Rebbe's ideas were.
Which was?
Well, first and foremost, spreading Yiddishkeit all around the world in ways which were unmanageable. I mean, you didn't see Hasidim on the college campus back in 1961, 62. Seeing Hasidic guys with beards was unheard of. Such a thing didn't exist. And there was really a need at the time for many Jews who were searching. I mean, it only got exacerbated, I guess, in the late 60s, with Woodstock and whatever it was in the 70s. There were thousands, tens of thousands of Jews looking for meaning. Sadly, many of them were looking in different locations, different addresses, and the Rebbe was emphatic of trying to attract as many of these Jews back to their own Yiddishkeit, to what's theirs. And he, at times, was a lone voice in many of the approaches the Rebbe took. They weren't popular.
I think the Rebbe was a lone voice.
At the time, yes, in many cases. It was not a popular thing.
So this message of bringing Yiddishkeit to the world is something that spoke to your father?
Tremendously. So as a bacher, when I was a little older, so I went, obviously, I was part of the Chabad Peace Corps system, for lack of a better term, where I traveled fairly extensively.
American Shlichus,
visiting communities all around the world, in many places, which today now have shluchim, and in those days they did not.
American Shlichus is pretty much a program for Bachrim in 770.
Correct.
To go out for different Yom Tovim, specifically Yom Tovim, or the summer, or spend the summers.
So in my case, it was summer.
In places, even when there's not an official Chabad establishment, but to reach out to the Yidden in every kind of city and bring Yiddishkeit to them.
Correct. So
So you were involved in that program?
Yes. I was in Alaska like 5 times and all kinds of cities there.
And still as a bacher?
As a bacher, yeah.
Wow.
It's before Rabbi Greenberg, who's the shliach there now, moved. He's not much older than I, so. And same thing in Scandinavia and various other countries.
I find it interesting. I know, some people take it for granted that a bacher could be involved in programs as in a way like a full-time shliach. A bacher taking on that kind of a chayes is not an everyday thing, or is it?
No, it's not, but it's a very regimented program. There were certain stipulations that Rebbe had in place. First and foremost, he never went alone. The Rebbe was insistent, you always went with another guy, which makes sense. Right. You watch over each other. You're going out to places all around the world. The kind of Asnish, you don't know who, what, when, and where. And you also had to get fahered before you went, and Nigla and Chassidus. It wasn't
just learning. You had to
get fahered. You had to have it settled from the Anhala, from the administration of the yeshiva that you passed your faher, and then you were given, quote unquote, the license to go on Merkah Shlichus. It was not just a fly-by-night, I want to go see this country, let's go check this out. It didn't work that way.
Wow. So pretty much you grew up in that home, and then you...
So we always had people, like a lot of academics in my house. And my father was a physicist. He was a Lubavitcher physicist, which in and of itself was an anomaly to many people. It's like, how can you be a well-known physicist and believe in 6 days of creation, literally? And my father took the Rebbe's approach and took it very seriously. He wrote on it, actually. Wrote articles, spoke publicly, lectured, etc., on the Rebbe Shita, specifically about the creation of the world, evolution, and more, the Big Bang or whatever. And
now, Pearl Mamish, on a day-to-day basis, what does your running the Chabad involve? Like what kind of actual jobs does that include?
Okay, at this point, Baruch Hashem, we have 7 shluchim in my area already. I'm not there alone anymore, so it's grown.
Wow.
So I have,
And these are 7 shluchim that you brought down?
well, myself included, so there's 6 others, yes. So I am responsible for all the finances of the Moisid, which are growing and growing on a daily basis.
How do you fund 7 Chabad families?
I fundraise on a regular basis. I mean,
Fundraise from who?
Largely from my community, not exclusively, but mostly I'd say.
From the Karavim that you've got in touch with over the years?
Yeah, I've been there for almost 30 years, so it's...
And they become very involved in the Chabad police and they want to support it?
Yeah. I mean, there are other people as well who don't live in Pasadena. There's people that travel through also that have Akar Satayf or whatever it may be, with people there for various reasons. But that's kind of like a daily feed.
I'm sure you're very busy, and I certainly appreciate that you making the time for this. Especially now. Yeah, what? Sorry?
I mean, beyond that, there's the shiurim, there's counseling, there's visiting people. I mean, I'm not lacking for what to do on a daily basis. And I wake up in the morning and say, what do I have to do today? I have nothing going on. It has not happened in many decades.
Well, it's a big, huge achrayas to fundraise for 7 families, to be giving shiurim, to do counseling, and all that kind of helping and support that you do. What motivates you?
What motivates me is I'm a firm believer in the fact, first and foremost, that Rebbe has a particular vision, which I'm privileged to be part of, and that is his shluchim. It was a novel concept. This notion of sending out young couples to the middle of nowhere just to start from nothing. There was no infrastructure, no shul, no mikveh, no kosher, garnished. And yet be zeichet to be able to bring, it could be hundreds or thousands of people back to Yiddishkeit, depending where you live, in and of itself, to me, is worth everything. I mean, granted, I could have done many other jobs, quote unquote, had I wanted to when I was finished with Kailo. But this is what spoke to me. The sipuk hanefesh that I get on a selfish note is irreplaceable. It's a hard job. It's a demanding job. It's not a job, honestly. It's sort of the wrong word to use.
It's a life commitment.
It's a lifestyle. I live it day in, day out. It doesn't matter where I am geographically. So I'm in Fine Heights right now. It's true. But just because I'm here doesn't mean my phone isn't constantly ringing. I'm dealing with things in Pasadena. I am. I mean, anywhere in the world, minus Shabbos or Yom Tov, I'm connected in some way, shape, or form. But this is what it is, what I signed up for. And to me, it's tremendously gratifying to be able to help people and transform people's lives. There's more.
Right now, before Chanukah, it's probably a busy time for you, isn't it?
A little bit. Wow. A lot of it.
What are you planning for Chanukah?
We have a program like every night of Chanukah, honestly, every day of Chanukah. We have public lightings in front of City Hall, in the malls, 2 malls. We have a big menorah parade through downtown
Public
Pasadena.
menorah lighting, for those who don't know, is a typical program that Chabad does in many, many different cities across America, where you set up a massive tall menorah.
Correct.
And you make an event out of it. You make a public menorah lighting, and you give out menorahs to the people that come, and you give out donuts probably, with live music.
Latkes. I mean, it's a whole...
It takes Persuminis at a whole new level, doesn't it?
Yes, but this was the Rebbe's genius, so to speak, of Persumanes. I mean, it was an unconventional thing to do when it first started. In some people's eyes, it may still be unconventional, but nonetheless, the Rebbe was very much a fan or encouraged it strongly. So we do it like any other Chabad house does it. I mean, you see them around Brooklyn. Maybe it's a little more common to see them in Brooklyn, but other places
all over, yeah. You see them all
around the world.
Around every plaza, you see by Pasuk Park, by the circle.
Right.
So you had a story one time with one of these menorah lightings, don't you?
We had an old Chanukah miracle. So, as you know, my last name is Chanukah. It's a holiday. It really speaks to me more, perhaps, than many other holidays. Not the other ones are not important, but this one,
Because your name is Chanukah.
My last name is Chanukah. I mean,
okay.
So it's 2005. A few weeks before Chanukah, we basically had done a menorah lighting in the mall. The mall was called Paseo, Colorado. It's like the main mall in my area.
It's big.
It's a decent-sized mall, yeah, in Pasadena. And we had done a lighting there for a number of years beforehand. And then I called a few weeks before Chanukah, I called the general manager, just sort of like being my idea to a large degree, that we're coming back. And this is the date we're coming, v'chuli.
You call them every year?
I had to arrange it. I mean, it wasn't like a given. I just can't walk. I don't own the mall. Not yet, anyway. Okay? Eventually. So I called this woman. Her name was Colleen. I called her up. And she says to me, I'm sorry, Rabbi, but this year we can't do it.
This year we can't do it?
Yeah. I was like, why not? And she says, well, the mother company of the mall, the one who owns the mall, can I say the name on screen. I don't know. It's the company that owned all these properties, inclusive of this mall in Pasadena. I don't know if you're allowed. It's a little disparaging to them, the whole story.
Okay.
Whatever you want. I don't know. It's a true story as well.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's not a secret.
Right.
So they decided they didn't want any religious displays on their malls. I was like, but we did it last year, the year before. Same company owned it. She says, listen, this is the general manager. And she says, I can't do anything. It's some other company in Columbus, Ohio, if I remember correctly. And they didn't want it. Nicht.
So one year they decided, after doing the menorah lighting there every year, they decided,
Managed.
Managed.
So I went down to her office and I tried to implore her and explain to her that this is an issue that's been fought in Supreme Court with Pittsburgh versus, I don't remember whom. It was fought by Nat Lew in the Supreme Court back in the 80s. I don't know if you remember the story. And other places in the lit all over the place. I'm talking. It's not happening. I said to her, I don't understand. You have a 30-foot kratzmach tree, not 50 feet from your office outside. That's not religious? She says, no, that's not religious. That's festive. I said, festive. And they call it a kratzmach tree, though. It's you want to call it a festive tree. I said, if that's the case, the menorah is also festive. Well, I have a festive menorah. You have a festive tree? She says, no, menorah is identifiably Jewish. It's religious. The tree is just festive. I'm talking till I'm blue in the face. It's not happening. I'm kind of bummed out, honestly, because I had no place else to do it. So I started calling any other place in town I can think of to try to arrange a program.
You right away decided that there's nothing to do about it?
I tried and tried. She made it clear it's not going to happen. It was like, Loy with an aleph. That's it.
So right away you decided the case is acceptable?
Whatever. The next day, I tried here and there. I actually called, no, it wasn't. Because I called the mayor's office and I asked the mayor to intervene. And the mayor tried. Okay? The mayor was a non-Jewish mayor and a very nice guy. And it bothered him tremendously. But he couldn't do anything because it's private property. It doesn't belong to the city. So he's the mayor of the city. For city property is one thing. It's private property. He tried, but I tried from other people to put pressures, and it just wasn't happening. No. I called every place I can think of in Pasadena to try to arrange a place to make the lighting. Each place I called for different reasons, I was stymied. It didn't work.
Is it usually a smooth process to put up a menorah in these big places?
Avdafka. No, I mean, it's a unique, Pasadena is not Yerushalayim. They're not used to seeing this. Okay. So, you have to figure out how to make it happen. At this point, yes, they've seen it for 30 years already, but at the time, it wasn't that common. So I tried this place, that place, every place I turned to, it's too late, but she can help you. Everybody had a different excuse, but it wasn't happening. I was really bummed out, and
You said you called her Mashpeh?
Well, beforehand, honestly, I sat down in my office, and I really tried, admitzia nefesh. I called every place. I was just really down and out, and I have a big picture of the Rebbe in my office. And I basically had a conversation. I said, Rebbe, this is your house. This is your pula. Approved. I tried everything I can. And if the Rebbe wants to make it happen, then need to pull strings above and make it happen. I don't know. I don't know what else to do.
You need some siyata d'shmaya over here.
This is exactly how the conversation went. And then
you had a conversation with the Rebbe?
I did. I had, who else am I going to talk to? The Rebbe's a general. I'm a soldier. If you have a problem and no one else is listening, you go to the general. So there was after Gimel Tammuz. I couldn't write in. So that's right there. I poured out my heart to the Rebbe. Okay, it happened to be there was a picture in my office. You can do it any way you want. This is what happened. So I called my mashpia at the time, Rabbi Avraham Levitansky Alav Shalom, about him Manukah, Simcha Manukah, and I said to him, Rabbi Avraham, this is the situation. I've tried. I have no place to do it. My only option is Chabad House parking lot, which at the time, by all means, was less than glorious, okay? It was half paved, half dirt, we were redoing things. It didn't look nice, but I said I would do it there just as a protest, because they're not letting us do it at the mall, we're doing it in Chabad, we're stuck doing it in Chabad House. He says, so do it in Chabad House. It's okay, that's Torah, that's what it was. We mail out a flyer, printed it up, whatever it may be, grand, menorah lighting, Chabad House, whatever address, latkes, donuts, like the whole party. I wasn't happy about it, honestly, but I had no choice.
Is what it is.
So the night before Yutes Kislev, it's the same day now, Yutes Kislev, okay? I was teaching the Chabad Girls High School. I teach it once a week. So, I'm sorry, I was teaching a JLI class. It's like a Jewish Learning Institute, adult education class in Chabad House. After I finished the class, I said to the people who came, I said, this is the story that's going on with the menorah lighting. Why don't you express your outrage? I don't know, call the newspapers, call it. But ain't not late.
You said this to who?
to the people sitting at the class, at the shir.
You give a shir.
I gave a shir. After the shir, I told them what's going on with the menorah situation. And we're stuck with doing it in Chabad's parking lot. And I said, why don't you express your outrage? You know what I mean? How you talking? The mall's not allowing us to do it. Well, I didn't know what the reason was. So one woman, incidentally, her name is Mrs. Kunin, unrelated to Rabbi Kunin from California.
Actually?
Yeah, that was her name, Mrs. Kunin, or Miss Kunin. I didn't know this, but she contacted one of the newspapers, the Pasadena local newspaper called the Pasadena Star News. And on Yutas Kislev, I was teaching Chabad Girls High School. I teach once a week, get a phone call after class. Hi, we're calling from Pasadena Star News. Would you be available for an interview and a photographer to come down? I'm like, sure, no problem.
Interview.
They'll come down with a reporter to the Chabad house and a photographer.
To hear about the story.
To hear about the story. It was like a scoop. It was right before Chanukah already. This is Yutas Kislev, okay? And it was also like December 21st, 2nd. I mean, it was close to their Chagah. I don't remember exactly the English date, somewhere around there. I zip back from LA. I come to Chabad house. Now, to bring out the menorah that we lit at the mall weighs like 1,000 pounds. It's made out of steel. It's not easily transportable. And we had it stored in the garage. Now, I needed a prop for the coming with the photographer, but there was no way I'm going to get it out. It wasn't even Shayach. So I have smaller, like 6-foot menorahs that we light in other areas, in stores, what have you. I yank one out of the garage. It's dusty. It's sitting there a whole year. I'm finally trying to clean it off, and I'm looking for bulbs to put it in there. I can't find bulbs for the life of me. I'm looking, finally, I find a shopping bag that someone, Baruch Hashem, the year before, just chucked a bunch of bulbs in there. God forbid they should have been wrapped like in paper or something, toilet paper, garnished. So half of them are broken, and then I was hoping some would work. So I finally find 9 that are not broken to put them in all the lights plus the shamish. I plug it in, I screw them in, and sure enough, one doesn't work. At that point, there was no time to get another bulb. The reporter was coming in like less than 2 minutes. I'm like, hi, it is what it is. This is Hashgacha Pratis. What's all time? It doesn't look nice. You know, you have the shamish is lit, and then 7 out of 8 are lit on the bottom. So I speak to the reporter.
Outside your Chabad house.
Inside. I did indoors, yeah.
Indoors.
So I expressed my outrage, okay, and that was the key word, expressing my outrage, this seems to be unfair, they have a kratzmak tree, they say it's not religious, it's festive, I give my whole spiel. Fine, just because you get interviewed doesn't mean it goes into the newspaper. So the next morning I'm walking to Shachris at 6:30, and there used to be a newspaper stand around the corner from Chabad House, from the Pasadena Star News. I peeked in the window of the stand, and sure enough, the entire first page, the front of the page, is a big picture of me standing by the menorah with a whole long article about what's going on. And what's the caption? It was like genius. The caption is, menorah lights out. And you see one bulb is pushed and not lit. I'm like, you can't make this up. What are the odds? Menorah lights on, it just played perfectly, because you can see, there's one bulb that's not burned. Anyway, I'm like pretty pleased. That's like, wow. I mean, who knew? I'm not exactly the big media personality, but I made front page news. I finished Shachris. Within, 20 minutes of finishing Shachris, I get a phone call from the largest radio news station, and like it used to be 1010 Winds in New York, so this is 1070, KNX 1070 in LA. It's a big market. They called me up, they heard about this thing, can they do a live interview on the radio? 8:23 and whatever saying. I said, sure, no problem. So I'm in my office, and
what do they want to hear from you?
They want to hear me express my outrage. You know what I'm saying? They want to hear what's going on, my perspective as to what's going on. So again, I express my outrage. A lot of outrage going on, okay?
By the way, I think you're saying outrage. The one time in the whole Tanya where it's important, the Alter Rebbe says 2 words, Lo'olam yargiz, should be expressly outraged. Well?
Yes, true.
Lo'olam yargiz, and when we see Klippa, and you see Goyishkeit, you got to express your outrage.
So I was expressing my outrage, okay, against the Klippa, whatever it was. So I do my spiel. It's like 30 seconds, 40-second slot I got. Literally within 5 minutes, every major TV station in LA is calling me to come down for a scoop, like in a personal scoop they want. I'm like, my head is starting to spin. Okay, so Fox News called me up, Channel 11, Channel 9, Channel 7. Okay, you come at 9, you come at 9:30. They all wanted, like their own scoop. At some point, honestly, I couldn't remember who I told when they should come. So within an hour, the Chabad House parking lot was like a media frenzy. They come with their vans and their big, like 30-foot antennas, because they're broadcasting live. Okay? Walking from truck to truck. Hi, this is so-and-so, broadcasting live from Chabad Pasadena with Rabbi Chaim Hanoka. And I expressed my outrage again. A lot of outrage going on that day, from one to the next, okay? And they're showing this live on their market. all their various stations. LA is a big station. I mean, it's a big market all said and done. I didn't know at the time, but the same station sent trucks down to the mall to interview shoppers. Again, it's like December 22nd. It's like the busiest shopping season for them. And they're telling the mall shoppers that the mall is refusing to allow the Jews to light the menorah. They have a kratzmach tree. What do you think about it? And most of the shoppers apparently were incensed, saying, if that's the case, we're taking our shopping elsewhere. There's another mall about 7 miles away, Westfield Mall. We're going to Westfield.
They said if the mall doesn't let the menorah, we're going to shop.
It's not right.
It's typical Goyim.
They are Goyim. They're straight up Goyim. It's a Goyish city. And I didn't know this was happening. So in the meantime, the shopkeepers are watching this live in their own stores in the mall. And they're like, what are you, out of your mind? I mean, they're losing money. This is the busiest season for them because they have some mishigas in their heads that they won't let them light a menorah. So they started pressuring the general manager and based on mother company. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know this whole story is happening. They also sent a bunch of TV trucks to the biggest galach in town at the time. Ironically, his name was Reverend Bacon, right? Very appropriate. Who also was upset. Of course, the kratzmach tree is religious. How you talking? You know what I mean? You say kratzmach tree is not religious, it has religious inflections, etc. And he says it's not right if they have a kratzmach tree, which obviously is religious. They should allow them to have a menorah too. This is the galach is saying. Okay. So in the meantime, I don't know about any of this that's going on with the galach or the mall. I'm just doing a lot of outrage on Chabad House parking lot. So
you're sitting in the Chabad House, like expressing outrage.
Yes.
Having no clue what's going on in the mall and all the other.
No idea. Someone finally runs out of my office about an hour into this and says, Rabbi, the vice president of marketing of the mother company, Columbus, is on the phone. He needs to talk to you. It's immediately. I said, you know what? Tell him I'm very busy now. I'll call him back when I have a few minutes. Lazim schwitzen, you know what I'm saying? So I took my time, probably about an hour or two, until I was sure it got out on all the airwaves possible. And I called him back. And I said to him, yes, can I help you? He said, there's been a major misunderstanding. I said, really? What was the misunderstanding? He says, we don't have such a policy. We never had such a policy. I said, listen, this wasn't the janitor at your mall that told me this. This is your general manager. She runs your whole place. No, there was a mistake. We would never have such a policy. He's tripping over himself trying to apologize. He says, what can we do to get you back? I said, well, at this point, I don't know. I mean, our program's going to be on Sunday. This is on Thursday. I said, it's going to be expensive. We have to change this. I said, I'll have to call you back. At this point, I called Rabbi Kunin, senior head of Chabad of California. Actually, of Chabad of California, because this has gone it was way out of my league.
Is it a Shlomo Kunin?
Yes. I mean, I'm not the big media personality. At this point, I didn't know at the time, but Associated Press, AP, picked it up. And they sell news to people all over the world. So it must have been a slow day in Wilmington, Delaware, because the Wilmington something picked it up and some other Chanukah Gazette, whatever. It's like it went viral, as you call it today, okay, before viral became a word. So they picked it up, Chinese TV station carried it.
The whole world is worried about the menorah.
In Pasadena, of all places, not Brooklyn, not Washington. I mean, it's nicht, So Rabbi Kunin tells me, first and foremost, try and get a few dollars out of them. That's no problem. I said, okay. And then secondly, he says, try and get them to write a letter that stipulates that allow menorah lightings at all of their properties. Oh, I'm thinking fat chance, but I'll try. I called the vice president of marketing back. I said to him, well, good news, we can probably make it work, but it's expensive because we already advertised. How much will it cost? I just pulled a number out of my head because I needed $5,000 the next morning to pay the mortgage. So I said, probably at least $5,000. He says, hold on a second. In 20 seconds, he gets back, Rabbi, give me your account number. We're wiring it to you. You'll have it in your account in 2 minutes. I'm thinking, idiot. Could have told him $20,000. They probably would have given it to me. And I had, the $5,000 was sent, mamish, in minutes. I had $5,000. And I mentioned to him about writing a letter for, that allow menorah lightings at all the malls. Well, that's a different department. It might take a little longer. He started dragging his feet. I'm thinking, it's one thing to be culpably, to be culpable for his actions on the phone. And writing is a whole different ballgame. The letter never happened. So I came back out to the TV trucks that are still there. I said, I have good news that the mall has capitulated. They've changed their mind. And we are going to be having our lighting on Sunday, whatever it is. I don't know where this fell in my head, but honestly, I said to him, but tomorrow morning, Friday morning, we're going to have the moving of the menorah ceremony, which is absolute nonsense, okay? Absolute nonsense. If you want to come tomorrow to the mall at 8:30, we're having the moving of the menorah and the menorah.
You made this up on the spot.
On the spot. I don't know, it just fell in my head. I don't know from where.
The menorah moving ceremony.
Yeah.
That's
for
fantastic.
the moving of the menorah ceremony.
Okay, yeah.
And it was just, it's nothing. There's no ceremony. I mean, it was like 4 of us. It was me. I had this African-American guy who used to work in Chabad House, a big, lanky, straw guy, nephew and another kid. And we're come being able to carry it. It's heavy. Okay. I get to the mall, and sure enough, there's like 4 TV trucks waiting. I'm like, I can't believe they bought this. And I'm like, this is like the problem. It's not what ceremony is. There's 4 of us here. You know what I mean? What am I making out of this? This is going on live TV. You know what I mean? So I get the menorah out, and thank God, the Eibishter has an interesting sense of humor. There was some leftover kerosene, like in one of the arms or branches. So he gussed and poured all over my shirt when we leaned it down. Whatever. We get it up there, and then I'm telling these 4 guys, me, this African-American guy, and 2 other people. We start singing Dida Notzach and making a circle and dancing around the menorah. And we didn't show what they showed on TV. The moving in the menorah ceremony in Pasadena is taking place, whatever it may be. So then I told them, but Sunday is going to be the real deal. That's when we're actually, the whole lighting, everything's going to be, the mayor's going to come, etc. So we send out press releases, and on Sunday, it was the largest, at the time, certainly, the largest crowd we ever had. Hundreds and hundreds of people came from the conservative temple, other sympathizers and whatnot. And I needed Bachrim to help out. I a one-man show. I mean, you need Bachrim to make a lebedik. I had music and musician and band, the whole story. I got permission ultimately from the yeshiva in LA to get the Bachrim to come a little earlier than they normally would be allowed to come.
How do you do that?
I begged the Rosh Yeshiva. I told him. He says, you're not allowed to come until whatever this man is the light. And this was earlier. I said, Rabbi Shachar, this is the story. I need this. I don't know what else to do. I begged and begged. Somehow, I'm not sure what happened. This Rachmei Shamayim came into his heart, and he allowed it to happen.
You allowed the Bachrim to come.
Like 5 Bachrim. He made an exception to the rule. So they came down, and sure enough, they're dancing and making a lebedik, and I'm running around. And sure enough, the mayor comes, and I was going to have him light the shamish, a non-Jewish guy, nice guy, tall, lanky,
Is that what Shluchim do? They get them, if there's goyim politicians come, they'll have them light the shamish?
Generally speaking, yeah, because they can't light anything else. Shamish they can light, because you don't need a shamish side. You got to give them some sort of an honor if they show up, whether it's the mayor, the governor.
So that's the way you do, like lighting the shamish?
Yeah, generally speaking, that's what they'll do. So said the Rav what to do. So before the lighting, we had music playing, and I turn around, I see one of the Bachrim picks up the mayor on his shoulders. He didn't know who the mayor was. He didn't know it was the mayor. He had no idea. It's a tall, lanky guy, probably his late 60s, nice guy, and he's spinning him in circles like we do at weddings. You know what I mean? Don't do this thing. It's not a thing, We're dancing and swinging him back and forth, and he took his hat and he slapped it on top of the mayor's head like a schlopper, on top of his head, and he's spinning him in circles. And the mayor's holding out for dear life, like with the bug eye, like that deer in the headlights look. He's pushing like fearful, and I'm worried the man's gonna have a heart attack, okay? He's pushing, spinning him in circles, and the mayor's wife is standing next to him. She looks like she's gonna have a coronary. She wasn't sure what to do. I tapped the Bach, I said, no, put him down. No, lebedik. He's ignoring me like I don't exist. And he's spinning him. I said, do me a favor, just put him down, please put him down. He finally puts the mayor down. The man had trouble standing still. I don't blame him. He was spun in circles, okay? He's in the late 60s. I don't think he's ever been on anyone's shoulders in his life. I apologized. No, it was fine. It was very, very different. It was exciting, whatever he told me at the time. And finally, he came up, he did his spiel, said a few words, how pleased he was. This worked out at the mall, like the shamish. It was an amazing program. So it was our Chanukah miracle, ultimately. I mean, bekitzer. I used to get phone calls afterwards by many other shluchim, like, what did you do? How did you get all this media exposure? I said, how? I didn't do anything to ask for the media exposure. No, but how'd you get them all to capitulate? I said, how? I sat down in my office. I had a heart-to-heart talk with the Rebbe, honestly. Wow. And I called my mashpia and asked him what to do. They said, okay, no, but besides that, what did you do? Like, which advertising company did you call? I said, I didn't call any advertising company. I didn't call any consultants. Nothing, I tell you. I sat down. I had a get at the heart. Some Rebbe. I mean, this is the Rebbe's pula. It's not my pula. I'm just a humble go-between. And I called my mashpia what to do, and that's it. But it's got to be someone else you call. I said, no one else I call. I'm telling you, I didn't call no one else. They said, it's impossible. I said, well, you can call whatever you want. That's exactly what happened. There's nothing more, nothing less. And sure enough, the next day, the LA Times also covered it. What picture did they put in the newspaper the next day? The picture of the mayor with a schlapper slapped on his head, with his look at his eyes. That's the picture made to the newspapers in LA Times. But that in short was that year's Chanukah miracle. And ever since then, incidentally, we've had permission to light the menorah at City Hall, which until then we couldn't. Because it's city property, church and state. Ever since that story happened, every year, including of this year, we have big menorah lighting on the steps of City Hall. It's a very iconic building in Pasadena.
Not only does something not something negative not happen for me, but more positive.
It did, and I'll get that the mall had new owners bought it a few years later, and we've been back there ever since. In addition to City Hall, and we do, as I said, we have a program going on every night. So there's, at this point, Baruch Hashem, it's grown. We literally have a truck packed with all the supplies for each menorah lighting, speaker systems, menorahs, whatever it may be. A U-Haul truck, I just rented for the week, and everything gets set up, taken down, back in the truck. You just resupply what you need. Next program.
Who does it for you? Yeah, do you have help?
I can't do it myself anymore. I have the other shluchim work for me there. My kids, some of my older kids come home. The ones that are single, they help out. So it's busy. It's really busy.
Wow. You should continue to have a lot of hatzlacha.
Amen.
And bracha. The toiv anir v'anigla.
I'll take it. We should all take it. And badir echet. Everything you do, l'maylam and meshur.
This is Yom Kislev. Tonight is Yom Kislev. This story reminds me of the first pasuk. That's very much connected to Yom Kislev. The niggun of Pad B'Shalom. Pad B'Shalom nashi mikravli kiviram hayumadi. So the Rebbe often brings the Gemara in Yerushalmi on this pasuk. Kiviram hayumadi, that even David's Amalek's enemies, the people on the Avshalom side, were davening for the Nitzachon of David Amalek. I mean, sometimes even you get them to pay for your menorah, you get them to you bring it to study hall. It's very this very it brings out the Rebbe. That was the Rebbe's. The Rebbe wanted these things, that the Welt allein, the world itself, should support and promote Yiddishkeit.
One side says V'shuli nivra elam, right, and it says also Ani nivreis lo nivreis li shamash eskaini. So the whatever, bottom line is, it's not about me. It's not about us. None of it is about us. We're here because the Eibusha Dafka wants you and I and every other person to be here. And what we can do as specific individuals, no other person can do for us. There's a reason why you're created, I'm created, every other person's created. And here on this world, Bez Hashem, Bez 120, or maybe more if you want to buy the extended warranty, okay? But literally needs you and I and everyone else to do our tafkid, our shlichus in this world, to be able to have the world that the Eibusha wants, to make a dir b'tachtoinim. So I'm doing what I can to...
So to finish off, what would you say to a person who's not officially on shlichus? A regular balabas, isn't doing business. Where could a person like that find opportunities to get involved in areas of shlichus, or like to bring Yiddishkeit to... I don't know. If you're not doing it full time, what are places that you could
for a man, let's say, for argument's sake, you can get other Yidden and put on tefillin. I don't know if you're coming up, there's enough Jews in Brooklyn or wherever you live in New York. I mean, you got to meet. If you're in business, there's got to be dozens or hundreds of other Jews that you come in contact with over the year. Just ask them, put on tefillin. Keep a pair of tefillin in your office. Buy a cheaper pair of tefillin. And keep them either in your car, in your office.
So you don't have to bring your own phone back and forth every day. You can buy
some people don't want to. They have expensive tefillin. They don't want to leave it in the car. I understand. So buy a cheaper pair, kosher pair of tefillin, and keep it. This is your mitzvah pair of tefillin. If you can't afford it, they'll call you. Okay, but seriously, that's what
I can't afford it. I'll call you.
Exactly. Women encourage other women to light Shabbos candles. Every Friday before Lich Bench time or Yanta, whatever it may be. Mitzvah staka, Taz Mishpacha. There's so many options. 630 mitzvahs all said and done. I mean, just encourage another Yid. Invite them over for Friday night, for Shabbos, for Yantiv, for something to go to shul, epis. Then shul of an Esther with them. Anything you can do. It's a matter of going out of your comfort zone.
Right.
Is it? It's not always comfortable for people to ask others, "Are you Jewish?" But more often than not, if you're in business and you're working with somebody else, you have a pretty good idea, generally speaking.
But what if it's awkward to ask them about tefillin? Like.
You get over your awkwardness. The Eibusha creates us with an ability to get out of our comfort zone. The comfort zone is equated with Mitzrayim, okay? Because Mitzrayim comes from the word Meitzarim, which means limitations. What is going out of Mitzrayim? How do I go out of Egypt? I've never been to Egypt. This is my Mitzrayim. My self-imposed limitations. I'm not comfortable doing this. This is my Egen in Mitzrayim. You have to go out of Mitzrayim every single day. Find something to go out of Mitzrayim with.
Wow. Chaim.
Chaim.
All right.
Shkoyach there.
Thank you so much.
Riechen Tier.
Gestern will ich sich wenden, sind sich Kuschewe Audience. Hat ihr gehabt einmal als Amasse, wenn ihr die Gedanken zu der Beschäfer und gleich hat sich der Maße getauscht, der Teufel will brüchen? Teil uns mit der Zibbe, soll der Farbrengen sein interactive. Schickt ein Message auf WhatsApp, eine E-Mail zu farbrengenpodcast@gmail.com oder zu 347-524-2278 und ich hoffe, dass können teilen mit der Eulam beim kommenden Gelegenheit bei Hashem. Schkoich will sich beteiligen in noch eine Episode von der Farbrengen Podcast. Der Minnig bei dem Farbrengen ist, als heute was mir geht da raus. Before you leave, darf man 3 Sachen. Koidem kol nennt man nur nach Kabula Teufel zu sich stark in Limit der Teure, Kima Mitzes, aber das hat viele in Siegreiten der Welt, der Kabulus von meinem Sheikh Zitkani. Und nachdem darf man 3 Sachen. Number 1, subscribe. Number 2, like. And number 3, jene Sache for the fun of it. And thank you so much. Schkoich sich Verteilung in den Verbringen. Lechaim Yidem, Lechaim Levruche. Looking forward to seeing you again next time.